the music of the great Arsenio Rodriguez, celebrating his birthday. And another mystery. Where did Arsenio live? Was it 23, West 65th? Or was it La 110?
No se puede estar tranquilo, seguiremos bien.
So since we've worked on these mysteries of Arsenio before, I reached out to my friend, historian and collector, Ralph Mendez. Thank you, Ralph Mendez, for joining us today on this special 1950s podcast of 100 Years of Latin Music in New York. Now, since we're in the 50s, we have to talk about Arsenio Rodriguez, who brought the conga back into the lineup of Latin music, who did so many things. But during the 50s, he was in New York. And he lived all over, but in particular, he lived in San Juan Hill or Black Bohemia. He lived in East Harlem. But there is this misinformation out there, these myths. And it has to do with that recording. You know the recording, Fuego en la 23. And that recording has given a lot of fuego to Arsenio. So let's talk about it.
Well, Aurora, here we are again on a quest concerning Arsenio. A few years back, I was fortunate enough to get some of this work done with your help. We were able to get Larry Harlow to get monies to
pay for the tombstone.
For the tombstone, and we were able to get the street name for him in the Bronx. And we had that.
And we found his family through the daily.
And we found his family. They came in from Cuba, and so
we couldn't have done any of that.
The goodwill that Arsenio had enshrined in us, had given us, is back here now.
Yeah.
The last mystery was, where was he buried, and nobody knew where he was buried, and the circumstances of the death. We straightened all that out.
Yeah.
Here we are now at hay fuego en el 23.
Yep.
Yes. Where there's fire, there's smoke. And in this situation, there's a lot of smoke blinding the truth.
Yeah.
What people aren't aware of is that Arsenio in 1956, 1957, produced an album, cut a song called Hay Fuego en el 23. That was recorded and in Cuba and released on the Puchito label. The lyrics on that original 1956, 1957 lyrics clearly say, en el 23 west de la 65th. It says it clearly in English and Spanglish. The confusion comes in 1970 when la Sonora Ponceña
14 years later,
with their own version of it. However, in this version, West 65th Street is substituted for La 110. Yes. Arsenio never lived on La 110.
Nope.
Not at that edge, not La 23 anyway.
No, he did live.
Definitely, according to the lyrics, at West 65th Street between Columbus Avenue and Central Park West.
Right. And he sings about that, and now that we're doing all this uncovering all this history now with the legacies of San Juan Hill, with Lincoln Center. And after doing all that, I mean, that's, and I've seen people repeat it, and they're trying to look for this address that does not exist. Well, and that Arsenio never lived there. When he did live in East Harlem, he lived on 116th Street in Lexington, right near the train where there's that building, the hole in the wall. I'm told that he lived there. But that song that he sings about, El Fuego en la 23, and even the sonero, when he sings at the beginning, I feel it's almost, he's singing it in English. And here's Arsenio living in this community of of blacks and him being a pan-Latino, pan-Cubano, everybody's speaking in English. So I think it's kind of appropriate that the beginning, he says it in English. Some people have said that maybe it's because of the phrasing, but I mean, Ponceña did it de lo más bien. I don't think it's the phrasing. I think it's, he was saying that in La 23 West 65th, that, and he says there's a lot of hustle, there's a lot of bustle. You can't just be there tranquilo. There's always something going on. And that sounds like Black Bohemia.
That's right. And not to take anything away from La Sonora Ponceña, for it's La Sonora Ponceña's version, which everybody is mostly familiar with. It's really only for scholars, musicologists, people that are really into know the original version. But if you go on the internet and you look, you put Ay Fuego en el 23, all the algorithms automatically show Sonora Ponceña, Sonora Ponceña, Sonora Ponceña.
Yeah, yeah.
We know from 1956 to 1970, 1956 came first. And those are the lyrics. This should clear all the smoke.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, we were fortunate enough that in my prior life, I was in real estate and I knew my way around how to search for buildings. And one day it occurred to me that there are tax maps that the city has for every property. So I got the information. I got 23 West 65th and I did 23 East 110th Street. And they're completely different. The one on 110th Street was the circle, you know, at 110th and 5th Avenue. The reason it's circled there, having semicircles, is that there were gas stations all around there and small shops. Now, and now further down on West 65th is where Arsenio, this building once stood. And we have now a picture of that building. That no one had before, but we now have the picture and we're going to be publishing it. What I'd like to do with all the people and fanatics and fans, enthusiasts, is we want to do a grassroots effort of maybe trying to get a plaque erected on the skyscraper that's being presently developed over the site of the old 23 West 65th.
And is it the Guild for the Blind?
It was once the Guild. The building, the original building was built in the late 1800s. It stood there until the early to the late 60s. That's when several lots were brought up on that block and converted into the Guild for the Blind. How appropriate. Arsenio again with leading the way.
Yeah. And
that stood there for many years until, about a couple of years ago. And right now, there was litigation because there is a huge tower going up at that site. So we may need some help from enthusiasts to help us with a call-in and a card system and grassroots of calling them up and trying to see if we can get a plaque at the building or a street naming. Arsenio was all over the West Side. Definitely lived in San Juan Hill, in the San Juan Hill area, even though this is closer to Lincoln Square, but it does include the West Side, and the West Side is where all the clubs were.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is appropriate. The building 40, this address, 23 West 65th Street, in my opinion, humble opinion, and limited opinion, it is one of the most famous addresses in popular Latin music. When you go to South America and you say, Ay Fuego en el 23, somebody knows what you're talking about.
And they know it's in New York.
And they know it's in New York.
Exactly. They know it's in New York. I mean, they all think it's in Harlem, in el Barrio.
And thank God for La Ponceña, they did it, but we're gonna bring them back to the truth. Not to the truth, but to the raíz.
And I have to tell you, there's always that connection. That article I wrote, that it's on the Lincoln Center microsite, The Legacies of San Juan Hill. My article, New York City's Dance of Displacement. There's the connection, East Harlem and San Juan Hill. That connection keeps coming up, even with Arsenio, East Harlem and San Juan Hill.